Lisa Ball's design is simple but yet effective. She used blue spray paint on some vines and made giant googly eyes out of styrofoam. The house, of course, is getting a lot of attention with some passers-by pulling over to take photos, and this should come as no surprise. Lisa says she's a big Sesame Street fan, and she wanted to celebrate the show on its 50th birthday.
I wonder if she's going to hand out cookies for the trick-or-treaters.
She should.
She should? Yeah, that's pretty...
If she doesn't, that's like the epic fail right there.
It's pretty ingenious, though. Just some vines.
Right. Vines, Mark.
Vines. Thanks for helping out today.
Sure
Susan's
thing.
back tomorrow. Have yourselves a great evening. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, an investigation underway after a Madison police officer shoots and kills a man. What neighbors are saying about the victim. Plus, how law enforcement found a missing Madison woman after a search on the city's west side.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
And thanks for staying with us. Susan returns tomorrow. Many counties in our viewing area are under a winter weather advisory starting at 7 tonight. Let's get a look at your first alert weather. Meteorologist Chris Reese joining us. We're going to have Chris, I understand, in just a few minutes. We'll have more on the weather that is coming our way, as many people are expecting some chilly and nasty weather coming our way. We will have the very latest tomorrow, of course, as well, as you'll want to keep a close eye on things as you get ready for your morning commute. Hattie McLean, Josh Sprider, Leah Linscheid, they'll all be there tomorrow with the latest on weather and road conditions for your morning commute. It starts at 4:30 until 7, and we also have constant coverage as well at Channel3000.com. The Division of Criminal Investigation is looking into an incident involving a man being shot. He died from his injuries in an officer-involved shooting. Happened about 9:15 last night. This was in the 6500 block of Raymond Road on Madison's west side. Police say a 63-year-old man had a gun. He was firing at officers who fired back, struck the man. He was taken to a hospital where he later died from those injuries. Once the Department of Criminal Investigation, once they wrap things up, they'll hand their findings over to the Dane County District Attorney. We do not know the name of the victim or the officer who shot him. Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway releasing this statement today saying, quote, "I appreciate the danger that our officers face every single day. We are fortunate this incident was not worse. The loss of life is always tragic. I respect the integrity of the investigative process and await their report on this incident." A lot of neighbors witnessed what happened. Jamie Perez joins us live from where it happened along Raymond Road. Jamie, you were telling us earlier that some were saying this man had mental health issues, correct?
Correct. Well, we still don't know what exactly mental health issues he was dealing with, but some neighbors were telling me earlier that they have known that he has had some suicidal thoughts for quite some time now. Some even saying that this shooting may have been a result of his mental health issues going unaddressed for so long. Some neighbors that we spoke with today also said that last night they heard someone yelling, "We've got to get out of here." One neighbor even said they saw him running with a gun in his hand. Most of the people that I spoke with today who live here said they generally feel safe in these apartments for the most part, but one woman said that she's been teaching her daughter what to do in case a shooting ever did happen, something that she says that she wishes she did not have to teach her daughter at all.
I mean, my daughter, when she heard the shot, she immediately dropped. Like, I've put her through protocol. If there's a shooting, like, you got to stay away from windows, doors. You want to make sure that you're in a secured area. My daughter's 11 years old. I've been having to teach her this since I lived here.
She also said this community is actually pretty good about checking on neighbors to make sure that they're doing okay, and when they're not, they make sure that they know about the resources available out there to help. But she also says that the entire community should work a little bit harder on doing things like this and checking up on your neighbors to make sure that things like this can be prevented from happening in the future.
All right, Jamie Perez live along Raymond Road on Madison's west side. Jamie, thank you. Many counties, as we mentioned in our viewing area, are under a winter weather advisory that starts at 7 tonight. Chris Reese did not earlier want to go out into the cold of the weather patio, but he is joining us now with the latest on what's going to happen, Chris.
Yeah, we are certainly tracking not one, but perhaps two chances of snowfall as we go through the week. The big one that is on the forefront of everyone's mind right now is the one that does arrive later on tonight. Already things are very cloudy out there. Temperatures, though, they're warm enough that I do think roads should be fine as we go through tonight. We're at 42 degrees right now. Winds coming out of the west at 3 miles per hour. There is some colder air, though, just back towards the north and west. That's where you find more and more of those temperatures that are in the 30s. But here are the winter weather advisories. Essentially, you're talking from Platteville, northeastern Iowa, all the way up towards the north and east towards Door County. A large swath of central Wisconsin under a winter weather advisory. And on Weather Track, we can already start to see those first flakes of snow starting to move in from the south and west. They're not over us at the moment, but they will be arriving tonight. We do have an alert day for Tuesday morning's commute, and then another alert day for Halloween. That forecast looks a little spooky. Of course, we'll be tracking that coming up in Maine Weather.
All right, Chris, we'll get more details in a little bit. Thank you. 2 people are in custody facing drug charges in Grant County. Deputies from the Richland, Iowa Grant Drug Task Force and the Dickeyville Police Department say they saw 2 people at a motel in Dickeyville that had warrants out for their arrest in Iowa. That's the state of Iowa. 19-year-old Tyler Asbell and 22-year-old Fallon Murphy, both of Dubuque, were in a vehicle in the parking lot as deputies went to contact them. They tried to drive away but hit a drug task force vehicle. Both of them were taken into custody. Deputies say they found a large amount of meth, heroin, cocaine, marijuana, meth candy, and drug paraphernalia in the hotel room. Asbell and Murphy are now awaiting extradition to Iowa. A woman was found alive after missing for more than 24 hours today. They say 67-year-old Amy Rupnow was reported missing first on Sunday afternoon. Gabriella Becerra live now from Midtown Road on the city's west side, where the woods where Rupnow was found. Gabby?
Amy Rupnow was found just a couple hundred yards from here and about 50 yards into the trees. Police say she was only found about 200 yards from where she was first reported missing, but because she was most likely disoriented, that she was probably wandering around. Madison police recruits were the ones who found Rupnow lying on the ground in the leaves after searching all day. Officials used horses, dogs, and drones to locate her, but Lieutenant Jason Ostenga says it was boots on the ground that made this search successful.
I'm not a doctor, but I think if she would have spent another night out here, it wouldn't have been the same. It probably was upper 30s last night. So this is definitely a success.
Rupnow was taken to the ambulance by an ATV where she returned with loved ones. Officials say Rupnow was found alert, conscious, and doing pretty okay. She still, though, is headed to the hospital just for a quick evaluation. Madison police are saying this was a successful day.
Yeah, certainly a happy ending. Could have been a lot worse. Gabriella Becerra live on the west side. Gabby, thanks. A 17-year-old was arrested Sunday after slamming into an SUV that had a baby inside. Madison police say Cameron Pulinitz crashed into an SUV on South Thompson Drive Sunday afternoon. When police got there, the suspects took off. Officers were able to find the driver and one of the passengers. Pulinitz was arrested on suspicion of hit and run, resisting and obstructing arrest. He was also cited for driving without a valid license, failure to display license plates, operating without insurance, and failure to keep his vehicle under control. A Janesville home damaged by fire just months ago caught on fire again early yesterday morning. Flames were coming up from the boarded-up home on South Academy Drive when firefighters arrived. The owner of the property says the home had been unoccupied since that fire back in April. It's unclear how much damage was done at this time due to the damage from the earlier fire. Former Speaker of the House Paul Ryan has launched a new nonprofit organization he says will be focused on fighting poverty, increasing economic opportunities, and advancing evidence-based public policies. Ryan announced the launch of the American Idea Foundation today. He moved more than $7 million from his congressional account into the nonprofit when he announced its formation earlier this year. The foundation will be based in Janesville. Ryan moved his family from Janesville to Maryland earlier this year. 2020 means a new decade, an election year, and a new U.S. Census that will bring years of benefits to cities all around the country and right here in Wisconsin. Rose Schmidt joins us to explain a new statewide effort to make sure you and your neighbors get involved. Rose?
Eric, Wisconsin's governor and Madison city officials have a pretty simple message for you. Take the 2020 census when you're notified about it next March. The city says it takes fewer than 10 minutes to finish, but it will provide relevant information to use for many decades to come.
Interest and awareness is really starting to build.
It's still about 4 months away, but the 2020 census is already taking up chunks of Ben Zeller's time. time he's happy to devote to make sure that the federal government is able to gather the correct data.
If we don't have a complete and accurate count within the city, that means that for the next 10 years, we'd be missing out on our fair share of federal funding for things like transit, roads, affordable housing, health care, nutrition.
Zellers is a planner with the city of Madison, working with UW, Madison schools, nonprofits, and neighborhoods to educate about the importance of filling out census forms. In mid-March, people will receive a letter from the Census Bureau asking them to fill it out online. That's a new option for 2020.
If households haven't filled out the census information in May, that's when Census Bureau employees will start going out to knock on doors.
The census isn't just a head count. It's about visibility, voice, and values.
Governor Tony Evers signed an executive order Monday creating a committee designed to increase participation in the 2020 census. The committee will develop strategies on reaching hard-to-count communities, like children, immigrants, people of color, and people who are low income.
In 2010, Wisconsin had one of the highest participation rates in the country, but the estimated hard-to-count population in Wisconsin is more than 600,000 people in 2020.
Census data is also used to help draw legislative districts, from city alders all the way up to the U.S. House. So Zellers says not filling out the census form means certain areas aren't getting the funding and representation they deserve. You will also be able to fill out the census by mail, phone, or smartphone. The city and county are currently working together to make a map and list of places where people can go to fill out that census on a computer if they don't have one at home, and all the information is confidential, Eric.
Yeah, very important. They've been talking about this for a while, and it just doesn't take that much time.
10 minutes, they say.
Fill it out. Rose, thank you. Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Dan Kelly will square off next month against his two challengers in their first debate. Kelly, Jill Karofsky, and Ed Falone are all slated to appear to debate. It'll be at the Foley and Lardner Law Firm's Madison office on November 19th. Then Governor Scott Walker appointed Kelly to the court back in 2016. That was to finish retiring Justice David Prosser's term. Karofsky is a Dane County judge, Falone a Marquette Law School professor. The three candidates will face off in a February primary, and then the top two vote getters advance to the general. That'll be in April. In more local news, Dane County Farmers Market plans to move its late winter market from the Senior Center to the Garver Feed Mill. Vendors will be at the Garver Feed Mill starting January 4th, and they'll stay there through April 4th until the outdoor market resumes. And the setup for the annual light show at Olin Park is now underway. The free 7-week light show brings a sense of the holiday spirit to the edge of Lake Monona every year. The lights will be on from dusk until dawn, starting November 9th through January 4th. Electricians from IBEW Local 159 will work through November 7th to install all those displays and lights there at Olin Park, and the event hosted by the Electric Group, funded by sponsors as well as donations. Badger volleyball team moving up in the rankings in the latest poll out today. Wisconsin is now number 4, currently undefeated in Big Ten play. Other Big Ten teams ranked include Minnesota is 6th, Penn State 7th, Nebraska 8th, Purdue 16th, Illinois 19th. Wisconsin will take on Maryland Wednesday. That'll be at the Fieldhouse. And now to the football team. They announced the kickoff time against the Hawkeyes, 3 o'clock now, November 9th, the battle for the Heartland Trophy at Camp Randall. Wisconsin, Iowa currently tied for second in the Big Ten West with 3-2 conference records. Minnesota currently leading the Big Ten West. They are still unbeaten. Badgers have this weekend off. And another time change for kickoff, this time for Green Bay, the Packers and Carolina Panthers on November 10th. That has been changed to the late game that day, 3:25. It was originally scheduled for a noon kickoff at Lambeau Field. It'll air on Fox. More to come on News 3 Now at 5. Up next, the impeachment inquiry is not slowing down even after a key witness fails to show up before the House committee conducting that investigation. And coming up tonight at 6, new protocols at a local hospital have drastically decreased opioid prescriptions for new mothers who have a C-section. The difference that change is making. That's tonight on News 3 Now at 6. And the markets to start the week. The Dow up 133 points. The NASDAQ adds 83. The S&P gains 17. We'll be right back. House Democrats are looking to take a big step in the impeachment inquiry. CNN is reporting that the House will vote on impeachment procedures Thursday. Former Deputy National Security Advisor Charles Kupperman was a no-show before a congressional panel today. He was on the phone call when President Trump asked Ukraine's leader to investigate Joe Biden.
We are not willing to allow the White House to engage us in a lengthy game of rope-a-dope in the courts.
I can only tell you what I know. And what I know is that the transcript of the president's call with President Zelensky shows that there was no quid pro quo.
House lawmakers expect to hear more from Trump administration officials throughout the week as part of the impeachment inquiry. A truck driver appeared before a British judge today on charges related to dozens of bodies found in the container that he was hauling. Prosecutors say 25-year-old Mo Robinson is charged with 39 counts of manslaughter, conspiracy to traffic people, and money laundering. Police found 39 bodies in the back of the refrigerated truck that are believed to be victims of a human trafficking operation. Some families say their loved ones were tricked, some reportedly paying up to $50,000 with the promise of a VIP trip to England in a car, not the back of a truck. A man suspected of opening fire at an off-campus college party in Texas, killing 2 people, injuring 12, has now been arrested. The Hunt County Sheriff says 23-year-old Brandon Ray Gonzalez was arrested this morning. It's less than 48 hours after the shooting that happened outside Greenville, Texas. That's southwest of a satellite campus of Texas A&M University. Gonzalez now jailed on a $1 million bond on a capital murder charge. Authorities had said the shooter may have been targeting just one person at a party where about 750 people were gathered around midnight Saturday. A fast-moving wildfire erupted overnight near the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, prompting mandatory evacuations of the nearby areas. At least 8 homes have been destroyed now. More than 618 acres charred. It is one of more than a dozen wildfires burning statewide now in California. Another one burning in Northern California's wine country since last week grew overnight as nearly 200,000 people remain under evacuation orders. That fire just 5% contained. Let's get a look at our first alert weather now. Chief Meteorologist Chris Reese almost gave you the promotion there, Chris. Joining us with his forecast, and boy, we've got some nasty stuff coming.
Yeah, things are certainly turning active for us, especially as we go through this week. It's almost hard to believe that it's October. This is almost forecast more so out of December. But winter weather advisories are in effect for all of these areas that you do see shaded in the purple. We're talking all the way up from the UP of Michigan back down towards the south and west. Speaking of the west, let's go ahead and look that direction. That's where we're already starting to see the first bands of snow develop out ahead of the system that's going to be coming our way. Some of those working their way into northern Wisconsin as we speak as well. This is Weather Track again going back into parts of Iowa, Nebraska. Folks, we're going to be watching those flakes of snow. In the meantime, things are cloudy right now. A little peak of sunshine allowing for a beautiful sunset. We topped out at 43 today. Our normal high 54. We were closer to that for our high yesterday. And check this out. Our record warmth, 72. We're not going to be close to that. But this record low of 16, I think temperatures are going to skew closer towards the colder side of that as we go through the rest of this week. In the meantime, 42 degrees right now. Those clouds will continue to thicken on up. Temperatures, though, are in the 30s as you work your way just towards the north and west. Those 30s are creeping their way on in. That's all associated with the cold front that's been pushing towards the south and east. This is opening the door for more cold air to spill in from parts of Canada. At the same time, a new region of low pressure has developed just towards the east of Denver. Denver had a lot of snow this morning. You've already starting to see more and more of that snow spread across parts of Nebraska. It's in the cold air. That's what's going to be working our direction as we head through the rest of tonight. And here it is. So as we get you towards 12 o'clock in the morning, towards early in the day on Tuesday, I will not be surprised to see some flakes of snow flying on through here. Good news, though, by Tuesday afternoon, I do think we'll see some sunshine. So any snow that falls, it'll likely begin to melt, but then we're paying attention to perhaps round 2, as if round number 1 wasn't enough. This one will likely impact us as we get towards Halloween, but I want to focus on round 1 first. Let's go ahead and time that out. I do think the snowflakes start to break out after about 10 o'clock at night tonight. We'll see more flakes overnight, probably between 2 and 3 o'clock is when we'll see some of the heaviest snow falling around Madison. So if you're traveling during the overnight time frame, that's the time frame to watch. But by the time the sun comes up tomorrow, the snow will end. Temperatures will be in the 20s, but we'll start to see improvements as that sun comes up. We'll see those temperatures into the upper 30s, and that should really help melt anything that's going to be out there. But in general, we're talking about an inch or two of snow. I think RPM is a little bit underdone, but it captures the theme of an inch or two of snow. It's not going to be a big deal at all. What could be a bigger deal, though, especially as we head towards Halloween, is our next system. This is Wednesday night. The first signs of snow could likely be breaking out, and then by the time we wake up Thursday morning, we could see some snowflakes flying through the area by trick-or-treat time. Some of that snow could still be around, and then as we get you towards the wee early morning hours on Friday, that's when that snow finally begins to pull away from us. It's still too early to put numbers on that system, but of course, we're going to be watching that one very closely. Eventually, though, after that one, I do think we get in on a little bit of a drier stretch of weather. Things will be staying cold with temperatures in the 40s for highs, but I do think we'll be seeing more in the way of that sunshine. Let's go ahead and track your first alert traffic for you folks as you begin to head home on your Monday. This is the Beltline at Park Street right now. For the most part, things are flowing. There are a couple areas of slowed down traffic, especially between about West Broadway and Fish Hatchery. We're going to be watching that. Things are slowing down towards about 25 miles per hour. A few brake lights showing up, especially downtown as well. But all in all, it could be worse. It's not a bad traffic out there, or traffic afternoon out there.
All right, Chris, thank you. Ahead at 5, a new scam targeting consumers through text messages. Show you how to avoid it. That's after a short break. Americans lost nearly $1.5 billion to fraud last year. Now a quickly growing phone scam is targeting banking customers via text message. Jerika Duncan reports.
Everything seemed normal when Peter Gunst answered a call earlier this month that he says appeared to come from his bank. The caller asked Gunst, who lives in California, if he'd attempted a transaction in Miami. After Gunst said no, she asked for his bank member identification, and he gave it to her.
And at that point, the lady said, okay, we're going to send you a one-time verification PIN so we can check your identity.
The scammer then used his bank member ID to prompt a text message from the bank's real phone number, like others he'd received before, with that one-time verification code. Gunst read it back over the phone, which allowed the scammer to access his account and list off actual bank transactions.
The fact that they used the bank's own infrastructure to send that PIN code to me, which then allowed them to reset my password, made it very credible.
It was only when the scammer asked Gunst for his bank PIN number that he realized something was wrong, hung up, and called the bank's real fraud line to lock his account.
A lot of scams come in through the phone, and more we're seeing them coming in through text message.
Catherine Hudd is with the Better Business Bureau. She says some red flags include if any caller asks for your name, address, social security number, or account numbers. And the best way to make sure you're really talking to your bank, just call the number on your card.
Whether it's a small local community bank or credit union or one of the biggest banks in the country, they can be impostered. So you just have to be really careful.
Gunst, who's a technology lawyer, later tweeted about the scam. He told us that several people responded to him with similar stories. The Better Business Bureau says it's a best practice to regularly monitor your bank statements for potentially fraudulent charges. Jerika Duncan, CBS News, New York.
And stay with us. We'll have a final check of your forecast in just a moment.
On the CBS Evening News, a new wildfire erupts near Los Angeles, forcing thousands to flee, including basketball star LeBron James. Manslaughter by text. A young woman is charged after allegedly encouraging her college boyfriend to kill himself. And a Secret Service agent with stage 4 cancer goes the distance to find a cure. We've got those stories and much more tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Man, we're already like planning our winter vacations, aren't we? We're trying to get out of here.
Winter's starting early.
This stuff comes. It's not even November yet, Chris.
I know, it is not November at all, but the snowflake tie has been brought out because we're watching that chance tonight. Temperatures will be falling into the 20s, and we could see an inch or two of snow. It'll melt quickly, though, as we head into tomorrow once that sun comes out.
You ready to go back to Phoenix yet? You were just there?
I was just in Phoenix. I'm here.
You like this stuff, man. I don't get that. We'll see you in 30 minutes.